One Piece sucks. Okay, clearly One Piece doesn't suck, but let me explain. I grew up in the era of the big three. For people under the age of like 20, they just really can't understand how crazy that was compared to how things are now in the world of anime and manga. Back then, the big three, which consisted of Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, dominated Western audiences like none other. Of course, everyone knew the OGs, Dragon Ball and Pokemon, but honestly, as a kid, I just thought those were regular cartoons. I had no idea they were actually anime and a product of Japan. Back then, it's not like today where anime and manga is just this super wide and booming movement that everyone knows about. Today, there are dozens of animes with dedicated fan bases and communities built around them being widely known without having necessarily to be super mainstream. Of course, you have your giants like JJK, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, My Hero, Hunter x Hunter, and many other more that are fantastic in their own right. Can't forget about Boruto. We love Boruto over here. But there are just as many smaller and niche anime with die-hard fan bases that get just as much love as the giants. In the Big Three era, there were plenty of other good anime, but they were really niche and you kinda had to be in the know. The thing is, the Big Three, not only did they rule, but they ruled with an iron fist. There was no one in anime and manga who did not know them or watch at least one of them. For me, it was Naruto who really sparked my love for everything anime and manga. As a boy in fourth grade, I had never seen such lived in characters that felt so real to me. Of course, I loved American shows, Power Rangers, Scooby Doo, Dexter Laboratory, but for me, none of the characters ever hit that same beat as Naruto did. I cannot tell you the level of excitement me and my friends felt when the episode when Lee dropped the weights in the Chunin exam aired on Cartoon Network. That was one of those moments like you really just had to be there. You just had to. It literally gave me chills from the art and animation, story direction, and just the heart of a boy giving it his all and going past his limits to succeed. From there, I was thoroughly hooked, literally up until the end of the series for better or for worse. Then there was Bleach. I never liked Bleach to the same level as I did Naruto, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it. From the art, animation, cool designs, it all had every bit of edge any adolescent boy could ever want. From the epic music to the super stylized fights, also the story in the earlier parts of the series were super enjoyable. However, I did find myself gradually keeping up with it less and less as the years went by, until I eventually dropped it before picking it back up after the manga had wrapped up years later. Finally, we get to One Piece, the number one selling manga of all time. I hated it. Let me rephrase that. I did not hate it, I just disliked it for all the wrong reasons, but a couple valid ones. First off, anyone who's caught up with the One Piece anime knows that the animation production of today is leagues above what it was back in the day. Today's One Piece has super stylized fights with aura beams, huge attacks, and has a host of effects reminiscent of something out of DBZ. Whether you love it or hate it, you cannot deny that the production value has went up significantly. The old One Piece anime color palette just always felt super bland to me. I like older anime, but it just always felt super dated. That being said, that wasn't my biggest issue with the series. My biggest problem with One Piece was the MC, Luffy. Yes, you heard that right. From the outside looking in and knowing absolutely nothing about One Piece, Luffy did not look cool or interesting to me at all. He did not have muscles like Goku, a flamboyant, eye-catching design like Naruto, or a cool, mature, sleek design like Ichigo. He was just some goofy looking guy in a red vest, jeans shorts, and a straw hat. Initially for me, none of the characters seemed cool. They all kind of gave off a silly vibe. I will say there is something between the Big Three era and today's era of anime and manga that's exactly the same. Toxicity among fan bases. Today, when you think about toxic fan base rivalries, you'll probably think of My Hero and Black Clover or One Piece and Demon Slayer. But back then, there was nothing bigger than a rivalry between One Piece and Naruto. It was a bitter rivalry with each side constantly pointing out the other's flaws, whether it was One Piece's horrible pacing or Naruto's absurd amount of filler, everything was on the table. And as a diehard fan in middle school and partly high school, I was definitely a part of it. You could not tell me Naruto did not come from the anime gods themselves. Every time at the lunch table, if there was a discussion of the two, I had to be a part of it. Whether it was One Piece monstrous number of episodes or talking shit about how could a rubber dude be cool, I was here for it. Over time, I grew out of that phase and eventually Naruto ended. After that, I began watching tons of anime and truly diving into the world that is manga. Still, I had yet to tackle the behemoth that is One Piece. As I had always loved watching the content of guys like Tekken 101 and King of Lightning, my curiosity grew more and more as this was a series that clearly a lot of people enjoyed. Thus, I finally began to a terrible start. For about 2 years, I would try to watch One Piece multiple times, then to only get like 5 or 10 episodes in, then completely give up and do something else. In retrospect, I probably should have read the manga. Finally, around the time that the Doflamingo fight was happening in the anime, I sat down with the intention of seriously getting into One Piece, and I did just that. I would be lying if I said it wasn't a chore at first, because it was. The anime feels very slow and drawn out at certain points, and I was really tempted to skip around. But alas, I held my patience. Then, around the Alabasta arc, that's where things started to click for me. I wasn't a true fan yet, but I was beginning to understand the charm of the series. From the extremely well crafted characters to the god tier world building, I was beginning to see the vision, and I was along for the ride. I stuck with it. Next came the moment I truly became a fan of One Piece. 2 words: Water 7. Water 7 truly does start off like any other arc, but right from the beginning, you could just see that things might be a little different. The brewing conflict between Luffy and Usopp is seriously some of the best character work in all of fiction, and that is simply said because it feels so damn real. Usopp is a man on a team full of monsters. He's on a team with a guy who can cut through steel, kick with legs on fire, stretch his body, and even a damn reindeer who can kick his ass if he had to. All he has is a slingshot and his wits. Then on top of that, you just lost the one thing you held on to as your true contribution to the crew, the going merry. Finally, we have Luffy. At this point in the story, Luffy is really enjoying the journey, but it's more so from a standpoint of a group of friends instead of a captain and his crew. We all know that he's a happy-go-lucky guy by nature, but this is his first real big push and test as a captain. This storyline was just so refreshing to me because it offered something that, frankly, I didn't know I needed. The story was perfect to me up until then. From there, the story just ramps up even further and further with the dealings with the world government and Nico Robin, which all culminates into not only one of the greatest retrieval arcs, but one of the greatest anime arcs of all time. For me, this is the point where I finally fully understand the true draw of Luffy. He is a carefree, simple-minded guy who loves his crewmates and embodies what it means to love the journey, not the destination. He is a man who's earned every single one of his crewmates' respect on a foundational level, and they would die for him. In the beginning, I said I hated One Piece because it was a super goofy guy, stretchy, who seems uncool. And the thing is, I was right. One Piece is all that and so much more. The ability of Oda to create such goofy concepts and characters that make you laugh, but then in the same breath draw some of the most heart-wrenching backstories and characters is nothing short of masterful. One Piece has withstood the test of time because it's a series that almost anyone can get behind. It has something for everyone. It has comedy, action, great battles, wonderfully written characters that feel flushed out and real, an ever-expanding world that feels as massive and complex as our own. One Piece just checks every box when it comes to not only keeping people entertained, but pulling them into your world and sharing your vision with them. You never quite know what's next in One Piece, and that's a part of the magic. And you know what? I love it.